Hi guys, good morning on this beautiful Sunday morning. This is the knife detector again, wishing you guys a wonderful rest of the weekend. And I have another knife review for you guys today. What I have today is a elephant toe style knife, and it is by Frost Cutlery. So I'm going to go over the pros and cons that I like about this knife. And then I'm going to go ahead and give you an overall rating of what I think about this knife. And please keep in mind, this review is completely from my point of view. This is my opinion, subjective by me. Everyone has a different opinion, and this is mine. And so I hope to present that in this video and let you know what I really think about this knife. And here we go. So what we have here is an elephant toe style knife. Some people call these also sunfish style knives, but usually the sunfish knives has a little bit more of a narrow end on one side. And the elephant toe usually has an oblong or oval shape that goes throughout the entire knife. And it's kind of like an equal end knife in that respect. A little bit wider than a cigar style knife or equal end knife, something like that. These types of knives usually have two blades. And some of the more higher end knives, nicer knives like your GEC or case knives, on the back they usually have only one spring. And as you can see here, there's two. You can also see that this is bone, and that's the material that is used here. It is likely cow bone, and it has brass liners, which is pretty good. Looking at the tolerances of this knife, you can see they're not fantastic, but they're pretty good. I believe I paid somewhere in the neighborhood of between $15 and $20 for this knife about a year ago. But the thing I really like about these style knives is the blade. The main blade is just really wide, and it's just a real nice shape to that blade. It's kind of like a drop point style blade, and as you can see on the nail nick, it's got that match strike pattern, which I've found to be not really that effective, and we might try that in a little bit. Then we have the smaller blade right there for smaller jobs, again with that match strike nail nick, really nice. One thing I want you to know is that it says Pakistan right there on the blade. As you know, Frost Cutlery has some of their knives made in different parts of the world, like Japan. They have some knives that they've had made in Japan, China, I believe also, and this one Pakistan. And it says here that they use German Solingen steel. I believe that's what it says, Solingen. Definitely says German on there. Let's see if I can get a better view by doing this. Let's see. I wonder if you guys can make that out a little bit better than I can. Now that these eyes of mine are a little bit... No, it says stainless. It says German stainless. Yeah. While I have it on that magnification, get a close look at that bone and those ridges. So, pros on this knife. These ridges really help you get a really good grip. And I never found that I needed to do any deburring or anything with this knife. It's quite easy to carry in my pocket. It is a heavier, it's a full-size elephant toe knife as these knives go. But, very easy to carry in my pocket. It does have some scratches in there because it's mixed with my keys and change and so forth. But I like carrying this knife. I feel that when I carry this knife, I do have something in my pocket. I'm not going to forget that it's there and it's going to get lost in the washer. It's a big knife, so if I want to cut something large, like a thick piece of rope or a hamburger, that it'll be easy to do. What can you expect from a Frost Cutlery knife? It's not going to be as refined as a case knife. It's not going to be as refined as a Shat Morgan Sunfish or something like that. But for what it is, between $15 and $20, by buying a knife like this, you can have a knife that is still very functional, that cuts really well. I believe it's 440 stainless, and I have not had any issues with the blade, other than there is maybe a tiny little nick right in here. Nothing that major. I don't know if you can see that. But other than that, it cuts really well. It's really sharp, maintains a good edge. I believe it's 440, but I'm not 100%. By using a knife like this, by carrying a knife like this, what you're kind of doing is you're saving some of your higher end pocket knives so that they don't get a whole lot of use. Let's say you have only 2 knives in your life that you use. Let's say you have a case knife, and let's say you have this knife. Well, let's say that by using this knife 80% of the time, and this gets most of the use and gets most of the hard work thrown at it, you only get to use your case knife 20% of the time, and therefore your case knife retains more of its value, lasts longer, and stays nicer looking for a longer period of time, whereas you abuse this knife. I'm a firm believer that, if you're going to have a knife, in my opinion, I use knives. I use them for daily tasks, when I need to open boxes, when I need to do something around the yard, outside, at work, whenever I have an opportunity to open the package or something like that. You use these knives, and they're tools. That's what knives are for. But if you have some knives that you want to take care of, owning some of these cheaper knives made in other countries like Pakistan or China that may not cost as much as your Case or your Shat Morgan or your Queen or your Boker or your Camillus, it will help you keep those other knives looking nicer for a longer period of time. So that's why I like these knives, and that's why I do collect some of them. I have some other upcoming videos on these knives, but I wanted to show you this guy. Now, as far as the cons, it is a little rough around the edges aesthetically. It looks a little bit blocky with that thick bone handle. But that's about it. I can't really find any other cons. There is that tiny chip on the blade that I mentioned, but that's about it. It doesn't really have any other drawbacks that I can see. Yes, it is a little bit heavy. However, it's not something that I mind carrying, because I know that it's there. I have had knives go in the washer. I've accidentally pulled out on one occasion, I accidentally pulled out a pocket knife when I pulled out my keys in some Walmart parking lot somewhere, probably, and I lost it. Never found that knife again. And it's a knife that a friend of mine had traded with me, so I'm kind of bummed about that. So I want to make sure that I know it's there when I have a pocket knife in my pocket, that it has a little bit of girth and a little bit of heft, not something that's incredibly light. So because of that, I'm happy that this is a little bit bigger. If not, I would sheath carry it. But this fits comfortably in your pocket because of the round edges. And the blades, I have no issue with that German steel, guys. So 1 out of 10, 10 being the highest, I'm going to go ahead and give this about a 6. Mainly because, the fit and finish does leave a little bit to be desired. It's not as aesthetically pleasing as some of the higher end knives out there, but it is functional and it works well and it's built like a tank. And I like that in some of my cheaper pocket knives because they're good work knives. So that's about it, guys. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. This has been the Knife Detector. In my channel, you're going to see videos of antique knives, some modern knives, but mostly everything in between. So this is the Knife Detector saying, God bless, stay safe, and above all, stay sharp, my friends.